Magic realism is a genre of art that emerged in the early 20th century, characterized by a meticulous, almost photographic attention to detail combined with surreal, dreamlike, or fantastical elements. Unlike surrealism, which often delves into the subconscious and the irrational, magic realism maintains a firm connection to the tangible, observable world, grounding its fantastical elements in a reality that feels familiar yet eerily otherworldly. The term magic realism was first coined in 1925 by German art critic Franz Roh to describe the work of painters who were exploring this unique blend of the ordinary and the extraordinary. Artists working in this genre often depicted everyday scenes with an uncanny precision, but these scenes would frequently be infused with an unsettling, enigmatic quality. The juxtaposition of the familiar and the mysterious creates a tension that invites viewers to look beyond the surface of the work, suggesting that reality is more complex and mysterious than it appears. Magic realism, therefore, does not seek to escape reality but rather to reveal its hidden layers. This genre was particularly prominent in European art, with notable practitioners in Germany, Italy, and the Netherlands, but it also found resonance in Latin America, influencing literature as well as visual art. In painting, magic realism often involves a sense of stillness and timelessness, with compositions that are meticulously detailed and often imbued with a sense of melancholy or foreboding. The colors tend to be muted, and the lighting often has a crisp, almost unnatural clarity. Albert Carel Willink, a Dutch painter, is one of the most celebrated exponents of magic realism in the Netherlands. His work is emblematic of the genre, characterized by precise, highly detailed depictions of urban landscapes, architecture, and figures that seem both real and eerily unreal. Willink's paintings evoke a sense of alienation and introspection, as they portray a world that is recognizable yet tinged with an inexplicable strangeness. Albert Carel Willink was born on March 7, 1900, in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. He grew up in a well-to-do family, which provided him with the means and the encouragement to pursue his artistic inclinations from a young age. Willink initially studied architecture at the Delft University of Technology but soon realized that his true passion lay in the fine arts. He abandoned his architectural studies and enrolled at the Rijksacademie van Beeld en Kunsten in Amsterdam, where he began his formal training as a painter. Willink's early work was heavily influenced by Expressionism and Cubism, reflecting the avant-garde movements that were sweeping through Europe in the early 20th century. However, by the late 1920s, he had moved away from these styles, gradually developing his distinctive approach that would come to define his career. It was during this period that Willink became increasingly drawn to the principles of magic realism, which allowed him to merge his interest in precise, realistic representation with a desire to explore the enigmatic and the surreal. Throughout the 1930s and 1940s, Willink's work gained widespread recognition, and he became one of the leading figures of the magic realism movement in the Netherlands. His paintings from this period are characterized by a meticulous attention to detail, with an almost photographic clarity that captures the texture and nuance of every object, surface, and figure. Despite their realism, however, these works are imbued with a sense of unease and mystery, as though the scenes depicted are suspended in time, waiting for something unknown to happen. Willink was also a keen observer of the social and political changes occurring around him. The interwar period, marked by uncertainty in the rise of totalitarian regimes, had a profound impact on his work. His paintings from this time often reflect a sense of foreboding and existential dread, as seen in his depictions of imposing, monolithic buildings that seem to dominate the landscape, dwarfing the human figures who appear insignificant in their shadow. In the post-war period, Willink continued to refine his style, producing some of his most iconic works. He remained active as a painter until his death on October 19, 1983, in Amsterdam. Throughout his life, Willink's work was recognized for its technical mastery and its unique ability to evoke complex emotional and psychological responses. Today, he is celebrated as one of the most important Dutch painters of the 20th century, and his work continues to captivate and inspire viewers with its haunting blend of realism and mystery. Albert Carel Willink's paintings are a striking blend of meticulous realism and surreal, enigmatic elements, placing him firmly within the tradition of magic realism. His work is characterized by a precision and attention to detail that rivals the old masters, yet his subject matter and composition imbue his paintings with a modern, almost timeless quality. One of the most distinctive features of Willink's work is his architectural subject matter. His paintings often depict grand, imposing buildings, frequently in the neoclassical or modernist style, that dominate the landscape. These structures, rendered with extraordinary precision, often seem to loom over the viewer, creating a sense of awe and unease. The human figures in these paintings, by contrast, are often small, isolated, and seemingly insignificant, emphasizing the overwhelming power of the architecture. This contrast between the monumental and the human scale is a recurring theme in Willink's work, reflecting his preoccupation with the alienation and isolation of the modern world. The atmosphere in Willink's paintings is another key element of his magic realism. His use of light and shadow is masterful, creating scenes that are both eerily still and charged with tension. The lighting in his paintings often has a cold, almost clinical quality, which, combined with the precise detail of his rendering, gives his works an unsettling, hyperreal quality. The skies in his paintings are frequently overcast or tinged with a strange, unnatural light, contributing to the sense of unease that permeates his work. One of Willink's most famous paintings, Late Visitors to Pompeii, is a significant work created in 1931. Late Visitors to Pompeii is set amidst the ruins of Pompeii, the ancient Roman city that was obliterated by the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD. The painting depicts the city's forum, a space framed by the remnants of classical columns and structures, with the Temple of Jupiter prominently displayed. Behind the temple, Mount Vesuvius rises, emitting a column of smoke, which adds to the painting's ominous atmosphere. In the foreground, four men dressed in modern suits stand on a paved terrace, each facing a different direction. The bald man smoking a cigar, identified as Oswald Spengler, is the only figure looking directly at the ancient temple and the active volcano. At his feet lies a collection of archaeological tools, symbolizing the exploration of the past. The figure on the far left, who meets the viewer's gaze, is a self-portrait of Carel Willink, a detail consistent with his other self-portraits from that era. According to Willink's widow, Sylvia Willink, the other men in the painting are also representations of the artist at different stages of his life, a young man on the left, a middle-aged man in the center, and an old man on the right. To the Future is a compelling example of Willink's later period, marked by his exploration of apocalyptic themes where modern technology and ancient symbols clash. The painting features two sculptures from the Garden of Bomarzo in Italy, alongside a figure in an asbestos suit walking toward a massive explosion. Currently, this striking piece is housed in Museum Moor in the Netherlands. The setting of To the Future is a desolate, barren landscape beneath ominous clouds, typical of Willink's magic realist style. In the foreground, to the left, stands a sculpture of a dragon battling two lions, while further back in the center is the menacing figure of a monstrous head with its mouth agape. On the right side of the painting, a man clad in an asbestos suit walks towards a towering column of smoke, the aftermath of a large explosion. In the distance, a stairway leads to an octagonal temple, before which a building element is seen collapsing. The three main sculptural elements depicted in the painting, the dragon, the head, Orcus, and the temple, are inspired by actual statues and structures from the Garden of Bomarzo, a 16th-century park located north of Rome. However, Willink introduces a modern twist by incorporating the collapsing architectural element, which is based on a 1937 news photograph of Vienna's rotund being demolished with explosives after a fire. The figure in the asbestos suit is also derived from a contemporary photograph. Painted in oil, To the Future measures 109 centimeters by 150 centimeters. To the Future is part of a series of 19 paintings that Willink created in the 1960s, during the final phase of his artistic career. These works frequently depict dramatic confrontations between the ancient world and modern civilization, often featuring science and warfare in apocalyptic settings. A significant influence on this thematic exploration was Oswald Spengler's book The Decline of the West, which Willink had read during his youth. The book's themes of cultural decay and the destructive aspects of progress deeply resonated with Willink and are vividly expressed in this painting. Willink's fascination with the Garden of Beaumarchais began after he encountered the park in Gustave René Hauck's 1957 book Die Welt als Labyrinth. He subsequently visited and photographed the park in 1960 and 1962, and its sculptures began to appear in his work from the mid-1960s onward, often depicted under brooding skies and in combination with unsettling, modern elements. Art historian Michiel Koolbergen has identified To the Future as the painting that most effectively encapsulates Willink's bleak view of humanity's path towards self-destruction. According to Koolbergen, the sculptures in the painting serve as passive observers, witnessing a humanity that has suppressed its own potential, symbolized by the figure in the protective suit. He draws a comparison with Willink's earlier work The Eternal Cry, 1964, noting that while the destruction in that painting is implied, in To the Future, the cataclysm is starkly visible, making the sculpture's disturbed expressions understandable. They are witnessing the world fire firsthand. The Zeppelin captures a moment in time where four men stand on a street corner, gazing upwards and waving at a Zeppelin floating in the sky above. The scene depicted in the Zeppelin is set at the intersection of Stadhouderskade and PC Hoofdstraat in Amsterdam. The painting shows the Graf Zeppelin, a famous German airship, as it soars over the city. This event took place on October 14, 1929, when the Graf Zeppelin made its historic flight over Amsterdam. Willink, however, chose to immortalize this moment 4 years later in his painting. The composition is both simple and powerful, with the Zeppelin serving as a focal point in the sky, drawing the attention of the men below. The figures in the painting, standing at the street corner, are portrayed in a moment of collective awe, their faces turned upwards, hands raised in greeting to the passing airship. This choice of subject matter and composition creates a striking contrast between the grounded reality of the men and the ethereal presence of the Zeppelin, symbolizing the intersection of everyday life and technological marvel. After the outbreak of World War II, the Zeppelin took on a new layer of meaning for some viewers, who saw the painting as a prophetic work. Created in the same year that Adolf Hitler rose to power in Germany, the Zeppelin came to be interpreted as a symbol of Germany itself. Despite these interpretations, Willink remained reluctant to ascribe any political symbolism to the painting. He famously remarked, "The heart of my work is a deadly love for reality," emphasizing his focus on capturing the essence of the real world rather than making political statements. Willink's portraits, though less well known than his architectural works, are equally compelling. His portraiture is characterized by the same meticulous attention to detail and the same eerie, almost unnatural stillness. The figures in his portraits often have a detached, introspective quality, as though they are lost in thought or trapped in their own worlds. This introspection, combined with the precise, almost photographic realism of the portraits, gives them a haunting, psychological depth. Critics have often remarked on the sense of melancholy and existential dread that pervades Willink's work. His paintings, with their emphasis on isolation, alienation, and the overwhelming power of the built environment, reflect the anxieties of the modern world. At the same time, however, they also possess a timeless, almost classical beauty, rooted in Willink's deep respect for the traditions of painting and his technical mastery. Carel Willink's work is a powerful example of magic realism, blending meticulous realism with surreal, enigmatic elements to create paintings that are both visually stunning and emotionally resonant. His work captures the alienation and uncertainty of the modern world while also revealing the hidden, mysterious dimensions of reality. Today, Willink's paintings continue to be celebrated for their technical excellence and their profound emotional and psychological impact, securing his place as one of the most important Dutch painters of the 20th century. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to get notifications of our upcoming art videos.